She went to a convenience store and spent 1/4 of her money on chocolate milk, 3/5 of her money on a magazine, and the rest of her money on candy. What fraction of her money did she spend on candy? Okay, so right now I'm thinking, tape diagram, what do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah. So you don't need to make it that huge, just probably about that big. And I'm going to start with putting a box around a mathematical word, fraction. So my answer is going to be in a fraction. My answer is not going to be in dollars and cents, even though we're talking about money. You don't have to write that because I don't need dollars and cents. I just need a fraction. So that means it's okay if I don't know how much money it is, because it's just going to be the whole pocket full of money, right? So I'm going to go ahead and write 1 whole here, and then we'll figure out what 1 whole is as a fraction here in a minute. All right, so how many things did she buy? 3. And I want to write it a little different today, okay? I want to put the fraction below the tape diagram. So she spent money on chocolate, milk, a magazine, and candy. So I'm just using abbreviations here. She spent 1/4 of it on chocolate milk. How much on candy? Magazines.
3/5.
And then candy is unknown. Okay? And yesterday I showed you a tape diagram. I'm just going to do it again real quick to refresh your memories. Don't draw this. And I said, okay, what's the answer to the question mark? And everybody knew it was 5. And then David told us how he solved it. So he got 20, and then he knew you could add 5 to 20 to get 25, okay? So that is the same strategy we're using. So all I have to do, boys and girls, is add these two together. I'm going to rewrite it. Write it over to the side today. Whoops. And then we're going to have 3 equal signs. Okay, you remember the parentheses from yesterday's problem? Okay. And we need a common denominator, so I'll pull a stick for that. How about JJ? What's my common denominator?
Isn't it
For 4 and 5? Yes. So now do we know what the 1 whole is going to be? 20/20ths. And we'll come back to that. So then I just copy my 1/4 down and my 3/5. There wasn't anyone who was absent yesterday, was there? You guys were all here? Okay. So, Jaden, 4 times something equals 20. Hint.
5.
Oh, good. Do you need any more hints, boys and girls?
No.
And Isai, 5 times something equals 20.
4.
Good. So I've got 5 and
4.
so the answer to these two added together is 17/20ths. And then to get my missing or my unknown number, I'm going to subtract from the whole. So see how I kind of like to do it this way down here? That way you can see, hey, I added these together. Now I still need to subtract from the whole. So you don't accidentally forget something. Make sense? Because a lot of times kids will think, oh, 17/20 is my answer. All right, so let's go on, and we're going to talk about the lesson for today. And I want to make something very clear. I know that you can do all these answers in your head. Okay? I know you can. That's not why we're doing the problem. Okay? We're doing the problem because we want to be able to put it on a number line. That's the goal today. So in order to put it on a number line, we're writing things a certain way. Okay? Now when I put it on the number line, I'm actually going to have 3 numbers that I have to show. Because 1 3/4 needs to be separated. So let's rewrite this. Do you have room up here maybe? Yeah. Okay, so I want to rewrite it as 1 plus 1 3/4, and then I want to do equals, equals, equals. So do you have room for 3 equal signs up there? Okay, the first thing I want to do is break this problem apart. So what if I have 1 plus 1 plus 3/4? We're going to write it that way. So the first step is break it apart. That's going to help us on our number line. Now, in my book, my teacher's book, they do a little bit of parentheses around those whole numbers. They want you to get those whole numbers added together and get them out of the way. So that's going to be 2 plus 3/4. And then you probably already knew the answer, didn't you, boys and girls? 2 plus 3/4 would be 2 3/4. Okay? So now I'm going to put this on a number line. And I'm going to tell you right now, these number lines are different, so don't work ahead. You know how I tell you that I sometimes watch math videos? Well, I watched a math video where a man was teaching this. Now, we know men and women are different. We know women are much pickier than men, aren't they?
Oh,
yeah. Okay? We also know that women pay more attention to details. Okay? And that's nothing against men or women. It's just how they're different. So, we're going to do this the manly way today. Okay?
Yay.
Not as many details. Sound good? All right. So the first thing I want to do is notice what number I need to have be my highest. 3. Now, it's different. You're writing it under because of the bunny hops. Okay. And then what number am I starting with? 1. So this first one is going to be a 1. Less details. Okay, now watch what I'm doing, okay? I'm going to fly in and land on the 1. I came from over there. And I'm just going to write plus 1 above that. Okay? And then what number do I need to land on next? 2. So I'm going to fly over here and land on a 2. Now what this does is give us more room on the number line. Do you notice? And I added 1, didn't I? Do you notice that I'm not even caring if they're equal?
Yep.
Because my main goal is to have enough room to put my tick marks for the fraction. So my tick marks need to show what fraction or what denominator? 4. So I need 3 tick marks. Now remember, we're not doing as many details. Okay? Are you ready for this? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, plus 3/4.
Why don't we just do a big one?
Because the fractions are always little. The whole numbers are the large bunny hops, and then your fractions are going to be your little bunny hops. And then my answer, 2 3/4. That's how we're going to do all the addition ones. And we're going to be able to start the problem set today, so you'll see what some other addition ones look like. We've got one more that's addition. And I really wish I wouldn't have wrote it like this. I wish I just would have put the 3 equal signs there, and that's it. So go ahead and add your other 2 equal signs. Now, what do you think my first step is going to be? Break it up. Break it up. Now, don't start yet, because what makes more sense? To have the whole numbers at the beginning, or to mix up the fractions and the whole numbers?
Whole numbers first.
Whole numbers first. That's what we just did, and that was pretty simple, wasn't it? So is there any rule that says I can't take that 3/10 and put it to the end? No rule at all. This is addition, commutative property. It says the order of the numbers does not change the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2 plus 3 plus 3/10 and move that 3/10 out there to make it easier to work with. Okay, Isamar, what do you think I'm going to do next? Because I'm going to solve this first. I'm going to add. What am I adding? And what do I get? Good. And I still need 5 plus 3/10. So then you know your answer. And you could have done that in your head, couldn't you? But that's not the goal today. The goal is to put it on a number line. All right. I'd kind of like to move my number line down. All right. So what number is going to be my highest?
5.
No. Going past 5. Good. So 6. And you always want to end with a whole number, not a fraction. Now, I don't need to start with 0. What can I fly in and land on?
1.
You're close.
1. 2. 3.
What's this? A 2. So I'm going to fly in and land on a 2. Now, this is where kids sometimes get mixed up. You don't want to go to the 3. You want to add 3. So this next number down here tells us what we're going to land on next. 5. So I'm just going to land on a 5. And notice, I'm not paying attention to details, am I? I'm just leaving myself enough room for 10 equal parts. So this is plus what? 3.
Oh, 3.
Okay. Now my denominator, 10. So I'm going to need 9 tick marks. The easiest way is to divide it in half and do 5 and 5. Or 4 tick marks on each side of the half. Okay, so now all I have to do is 1, 2, 3 plus 3/10. And the answer is 5 and 3/10. Now they do get harder, but do you remember how I teach you a strategy when it's really, really easy? John said, I'm having a hard time considering that a 5th grade problem. It's pretty simple, isn't it? But it's really good to teach us the procedure. That way, when we get to the hard ones, we'll know what to do. Okay, now subtraction. We can do it.
Yay.
This one is very simple, so it's not going to be any problem at all. We're just going to solve it. So I'm going to pull a stick. Alexis, what's the answer? Let's do this. Could I change 1 whole to a fraction? Yeah. So now what's the answer, Alexis? 3/4, okay? So this is pretty simple. The highest number I need is the 1.
No details at all.
And the lowest number is going to be a 0 this time. Okay, you're not talking to each other. And denominator?
2.
4. You guys really need to stop and think before you answer. And this is how it works. 1 minus 1/4 equals 3/4. And don't forget to circle. All right, let's see if we can make it a little harder. Not much harder. So Zadie, what's the answer to this problem? Two minus 3/5.
1 and 2.
Remember our strategy, we're going to subtract 1 from the whole number. And then what's 5 minus? Good. Okay, so write your answer down.
Can we do the same thing on this one?
Pretty close. So this time, what's the highest number I need? 2. And I can actually have 1 as my lowest. So this is just getting you ready for some harder ones. What's the denominator? 5. So how many tick marks do I need? 4. Good. You do? Okay. So now I'm going to subtract 3/5. Minus 3/5. And then my answer, and circle it. Okay. So now let's try one a little more difficult. Not too bad, but it's going to challenge you a little more. Okay, I've got to break this one apart. So help me out when I break this apart, Brandon. What do I need to do? 3 minus. Right. Okay, write that down. Then we've got to have our equal signs on here. So basically, if you have more than one whole number, you need to break it apart when you're subtracting.
You know the answer.
Doesn't matter. I already said at the beginning of class, I don't care what the answer is. I know you could all do all these answers in your head. I don't care. The goal today is to be able to put this problem on a number line. So what's the highest number I start with? 3. Because I'm subtracting. I want to start over on the right side. Okay? So now I'm going to subtract what? Oh, forgot my parentheses. Let's solve this first. Miranda, what's your answer? I don't know where Miranda is. So subtract 1 from your whole number. 1 1/3. Okay, so if my answer is 1 1/3, I'm going to have this be a 1. Very good. Okay, so the manly way would just be 3 minus 1 and land on a 2, right? And I didn't even care if it was halfway between. Because my goal is to do what? Have room for my tick marks. And sometimes you're going to have many, many tick marks. Okay, so then if I subtract 1/3 here, that's going to give me, oh, sorry, 2/3, isn't it? Subtract 2/3, that will give me 1 1/3. Now, we're going to keep going. So I'm going to pause it while we get the other papers. So, boys and girls, we're going to have 2 papers. We're going to have the problem set, and we're going going to have the template. Okay? I want you to have both of those right beside you. Get your name on both because we will not finish. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the answer on the problem set, then transfer to the template. That way, you can have easy number lines. Make sense? Okay. To solve the first problem, Hudson, what do I need to do first? Okay, after my equal signs. What do I need to do? What do I need to do with this whole number in fraction when I write it down? Anybody remember? Break it apart. Break it apart. So Hudson said expand it. That's kind of true, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, and then parentheses around 2 and 1. What do I do next, Ruby? Add 2 plus 1, good. And so my answer is going to be 3 1/5. And I want you to keep this in front of you while you're using the template, okay? So this is A, so we're just going to put a little A there. All right. So I have, what can I land on? Well, first of all, what's the highest number?
3. 4. 3.
What's my answer?
4. 3. 3 1/5.
So I need a 4. If I've got 3 1/5 for an answer, I need a 4. On, okay, just a minute. Isai is saying we can fly in and land on a 2. Do you agree with him?
Yes.
Okay. So let's fly in and land on a 2. Diamete, what do I land on next? No, not yet. What do I land on next? Remember, this is the manly way.
No.
I land on the 3. And that's adding 1, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now we can put our tick marks on for fifths, right?
24 tick.
4 tick marks.
How much will minus 1/5?
And we're going to add 1/5. And look at your problem set. It tells you what to add. So I think you're going to have, tomorrow on your exit ticket, you're going to have a couple addition and a couple subtraction. Probably not. Probably not. Okay, so let's go back to the problem set. We're going to do B now. This is subtraction. All right, break it apart, right?
Yeah.
So 2 minus 1 minus 3/8. Parentheses around 2 and the 1. David, what do I do next?
Subtract the 2 with the 1.
And so we get 1 minus 3/8. Now this answer is harder. So Isaac, what is the answer to this problem?
5/8.
You got it. Now keep that in front of you when we go to the template, okay? All right, so we're going to do B. And when we're subtracting, we're going to start over here on the right. So what does the problem start with? A 2?
2.
Okay. So we just make it a 2. And we're subtracting 1. So we're going to land on what? 1. Yep. I need a 0 there. Before you can do tick marks, you have to have whole numbers on both sides. Okay, so now the denominator, Miguel. Eighths. So I'm going to need 7 tick marks, right? I do fourths and then divide them in half. And if I subtract 3/8, 1, 2, 3, does that give me 5/8 for an answer?
Yeah.
And then circle it. How you doing?
Good.
Okay. Well, hopefully they're going to be a little harder. Okay, let's look at the next one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a little harder. Not too bad. Shh. I still think we could do it in our heads, but we're gonna follow the procedure here. So I need to break this first one apart, or the first line apart. So Lauren, tell me how you would break it apart if it were you. You got it. You got to have them all separated for the number line, and then parentheses around the whole numbers. We're going to do those first. Okay. Jacob, what would you do next? Well, let's just, you could, but I think we better keep it like this, just because of the bunny hops. We'll see, okay? And then the answer, kids, 8, okay? So let's take a look at the template. We'll put that problem on the third number line, and we're labeling it C.
Does that mean we label it to 9 or only to 8?
No, we're labeling it C right here,
Oh.
okay? All right, so this is addition. I can fly in and land on something. So I'm going to pull a stick. Sit Lolly, what should I fly in and land on? What's the first number of my problem? 5. So I'm going to land on a 5. And it'll be plus 5 here. And the second number I can land on, Emily, is what? What did we write on the second row? We're adding 2, so what do we land on? 7? Did you write a 7? Look at your problem set. Yeah, okay. So we're adding 2, but we're landing on a 7. And the highest number needs to be what? 8. Okay. Cooper, what's the denominator?
6.
Okay. So 4 tick marks. And I think the reason why we can't do 5/5 is because we have to add, was it 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 2? 2 plus 3. And circle your answer. Now that I think we could consider a 5th grade problem.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do one more. So we're going to do D, and then we'll stop and finish this tomorrow. So let's take a look at D. Diego, how would you break that apart? So I would have to do 4 minus 2 minus 2/7. Good. And parentheses around whole numbers. Good. Okay. And we all know that solving this is not the hard part, is it? Number line is what confuses us. Look at this, Diego. I pulled your stick again. What do I write now? 2 minus 2/7. JJ, what's my answer? Can you tell I don't know where anyone's sitting? So I have to look around the whole room. Okay.
1 and 5/7.
Awesome. Okay, let's put that on a number line. So go to your template. And it's subtraction, so I just want to start over here. What's the first number in the subtraction problem? 4. So that's what we start with. And Hudson, what do I need to subtract? And that means I'm going to land on what number?
2.
Good. So my smallest whole number is a 1. And it looks like I have plenty of room to do 7s now, don't I? Okay, so Zadie, how many tick marks do I need for 7s? 6.
So do we show the answer on here or like the problem?
Okay, on the template, we're just doing the number line and the answer. On the problem set, we're writing out the steps. Okay, so what am I subtracting? How many 7s? 2 7s. So minus 2 7s. Don't skip any steps, please. Okay. And then that's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for an answer. Do I need a whole number in front of that?
Yes.
Then circle your answer. Okay, I think we'll stop there for today and continue tomorrow.